Hello, welcome back to this Shadowgate series, where we brave the dangers of outer space just to be stopped by a door. Oh well. That just looks like a broom, though. It could not be a more ordinary broom. Can we have a broom history of this role-playing game setting? There might be some genuinely interesting things involved. Also, between last session and this one, I thought of another possible way to deal with the shark. We do have perfectly functional torches here. Maybe we can boil the water so that the shark dies, or smoke it out, or something. It's worth a try. Or that could happen, I guess. Fine. If the game's gonna be that boring about what happens when you put a torch in water, I guess I'll just move on. This game is known for its deaths without warning, and it does have a few, but most of them are just from things like that. In fact, you're kind of encouraged to find as many unwise things as possible. That's because of the achievement system. It doesn't give you achievements for solving puzzles or even completing the game, but rather for finding as many ways to die as possible. Also, that doorbell-looking thing is the perfect size to fit one of our gem items in. And there we go. Now, one of the things I find appropriate about this is that ice sphere explains why this room is so cold, and you don't find out why until later, which is pretty neat. That sphere will also put out your torch if you touch your torch to it. But we're not gonna worry about that right now. It seems like we might have an item to solve our shark in pool problem. But first, let's solve our, ominous music problem. Navigating the inventory after you've progressed in the game for a while can be a little time-consuming. Also, there's many useless items you can pick up to clutter things up even more. Surprisingly, the broom is not one of them, but moving on. Well, and it's a thick sheet of ice, too. It would have been an interesting and Shadowgate-like death for you to just break through the icy surface and fall into the water and die that way. But also, we'd like to get that sphere back. Seems like it's a pretty nice item to have. It's important to use the torch near the sphere, not directly on it, because, as mentioned, your torch will just go out. Well, we finally have a key very likely to get through that door we were stuck at before, but we're not done just yet. Let's say that in the room to the north we had opened the slime coffin and blocked that way off and then saved. What would we do then? Well, to answer that question, let's explore a direction that we haven't really fully explored yet. Now, looking at these bridges, it seems fairly obvious that there is a dangerous moment here. Like this one, this bridge is obviously kind of a problem. And the other bridge is obviously sturdy. But you know what? This sort of game has given us traps before. It might be that only the bridge to the right is safe to walk on and the one to the left is an illusion or something. You can't fool me. Oh. It's exactly the way it looks. And spoiler, the left bridge is exactly as sturdy as it looks. In the MacVenture version, you can only cross the rickety bridge if you leave behind most of your items, but you can't do that in this version, so you need another solution. Also, if you want to prevent your torch from getting reset, you have to save before doing something dangerous and then load afterwards. Well, we got another thing in our way. That seems like a role-playing game monster if I've ever seen one, so let's get our sword ready. Oh. Never mind. Putting the stone in the sling is not related, but it's just a nice thing to do beforehand. And luckily for us, the Wraith doesn't care if we steal the torches that are right next to us. And the speak command used to be... Oh, we can't hit it either. The speak command used to be for casting spells, which you had to do manually, but now it's just a duplicate of the use key when selecting spells. Also, the special torch. Originally, you could just light that as if it was a normal torch, and the only thing that gave it away was its different color flame and its description when you looked at it. If you lit it too early and it went out, you could make the game unwinnable. Fortunately, this version of the game doesn't let you do that. This place looks familiar. And we didn't have to break our legs to get in here this time. I could never figure out why we weren't allowed to take the rope. I mean, for game reasons I know why, but for common sense reasons it seems a little odd. Yeah, rope backwards. How mysterious. What kind of person would look at that and think it's a magic word? Furthermore, what kind of world is this where you would be correct in that assumption? Now that's a clue. That seems like it would be an important bottle to take with us. Because we have need of being extra light, as we've already seen. Really? From reading a scroll? Well, okay, this is actually a very important clue on what key items to look for and how to use them. That's a description for a puzzle at pretty much the end of the game, so I'm kinda surprised that the scroll is out in the open like that. Also, another common thing to think of in the MacVenture games, do not use the contents of a bottle if you don't know what it is. Now you can see the outline of a door with that wall, and there's another clue from looking at it with the draft, but before we do that... Oh well, we're going to take a look at that rope and that exit, and see what we can do with those. Yeah. Normally with the speak command, or I shouldn't say normally, but originally, you'd click that and then type in the spell you wanted to cast manually, and that's how you did it. Since you don't really speak to other characters or monsters, that command is a little superfluous in the 8-bit versions. Alright, the door outline was a little more obvious originally, but it's still there if you look closely in the NES version. And look at that! Another gem-shaped and sized hole. I'm glad the game gives you all of the gem keys at once instead of having to search out each one of them individually. Although I guess that could mean more puzzles. A magical image of an old wizard, huh? Okay. Thy courage, and the Staff of Ages. You can buy a cup of coffee with your courage and a few dollars. So that was kind of a restating of a hint that we just saw a minute ago, but there's the important part, the scroll. We're going to need what's on that scroll in a little bit. Well, actually more than a little bit, but it's important to remember that we have it. So, if you remember how we died going in here last time, we know where that rope takes us, and that's how you bypass the slime barrier if you happened to create it carelessly. And since we have the key, we can move forward. So, that answers some questions that we had about the game design. They were pretty thorough about it, weren't they? I gotta give credit for that. Oh. Well, it seems like the cold sphere would be useful in there, but first we have to actually be able to walk in there, which is a bit of a problem. But we'll work something out next time, I hope. And don't worry, there'll be plenty of ways to die in there too, so you can look forward to that. Well, later everyone!